Ladies and gentlemen, in the ring at this time, please welcome superstar grime recording artist Stormzy as he brings to the ring
from home from him, and he looks very relaxed. Yes, he's walked this way before a few times, Fletch.
London, are you ready for me? Olympic gold. 13 wins. 13 devastating knockouts.
From Watford, England, the undefeated AJ Anthony Joshua!
On Netflix, to those of you joining us right here in Texas, are you ready to make history? Let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner, silver and chrome trunks. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall. He weighed in at 227.2 pounds. He holds a near perfect professional record of 10 victories, 1 defeat, with 7 of those wins coming by way of knockout. And he fights out of Dorado, Puerto Rico, by way of Cleveland, Ohio, USA. He is the multi-talented superstar who bridged the gap between social media and professional boxing. Boxer, a content creator, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and a promoter, and the self-proclaimed of boxing. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the problem child, Jake El Gallo.
The spotlight blazes as Anthony Joshua, the heavyweight powerhouse with thunder in his fists, stands across from Jake Paul, the fearless disruptor who flipped the boxing world on its head. This isn't just another fight, it's raw power versus relentless ambition. Joshua enters with years of championship pedigree, while Jake brings unshakable confidence, determined to silence the critics and shock the globe. The arena trembles with anticipation. Fans sit on edge, waiting to see who will rise and who will crumble under the bright lights. Boxing fans, welcome back. Today, we dive into one of the wildest rumors shaking up the fight world: Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul. A two-time unified heavyweight champion against the internet's most polarizing boxing star. Is this fight real? Could it actually happen? And if it did, who wins? Let's break it down. First, Anthony Joshua, Olympic gold medalist, former WBA, IBF, WBO, and IBO heavyweight champion. From his brutal knockout of Vladimir Klitschko in front of 90,000 at Wembley to his redemption win over Andy Ruiz Jr. in Saudi Arabia, Joshua has carved out a reputation as a global superstar with thunderous power and resilience. His record includes wins over Delian White, Joseph Parker, Alexander Peterkin, and Karat Pulver, all proving his championship pedigree. Then there's Jake Paul, the YouTube prankster turned legitimate pay-per-view attraction. Jake Paul has become a true pay-per-view sensation. 9 professional fights, with only 1 defeat to Tommy Fury. Armed with a sharp right hand, decent timing, and fearless self-belief, Jake continues to surprise critics. Once dismissed as nothing more than a gimmick, he's forced the boxing world to take notice. With knockout wins over Tyron Woodley, a gritty victory against Anderson Silva, and triumphs over names like Ben Askren and Nate Diaz, Jake has proven he's more than just a YouTuber chasing clout. Sure, skeptics question the level of his opposition, but there's no denying his discipline, business savvy, and unmatched ability to draw millions of viewers. Love him or hate him, Jake Paul has cemented himself as one of boxing's biggest names. So why would Anthony Joshua even consider fighting Jake Paul? The answer is simple: money. With Saudi backers reportedly pushing for the matchup, Jake's camp already on board, and promoter Eddie Hearn not ruling it out, the buzz is real. Even without a title on the line, this fight could sell out Wembley and shatter streaming records. Joshua's career has always been defined by resilience. After suffering that shocking upset loss to Andy Ruiz Jr. in 2019, many doubted him. But he came back disciplined and composed, outboxing Ruiz in the rematch to reclaim his belts. That comeback proved Joshua wasn't just powerful. He had the heart and mentality of a true champion. Fans also remember his epic war with Vladimir Klitschko, where he was dropped but rose to finish the legend in dramatic fashion. For Jake, stepping into the ring with Joshua would be the ultimate test, a chance to shock the world on a scale far beyond anything he's attempted before. For Jake Paul, this would be the ultimate leap, moving from MMA veterans and cruiserweights straight into the lion's den of heavyweight boxing. Yet, Jake has built his reputation by consistently silencing critics. Against Tyron Woodley, he delivered one of the most brutal knockouts of the year, cementing himself as more than just a YouTuber dabbling in boxing. His clash with Anderson Silva showcased his stamina and composure, going toe-to-toe with one of combat sport's most respected legends. Each victory fueled his confidence, expanded his fan base, and proved he had far more grit than anyone ever expected. The stakes couldn't be higher. For Anthony Joshua, this fight would be about pride and legacy, not just dominating his own division, but shutting down the Jake Paul circus once and for all. For Jake, this would be the chance to shock the world and step out of spectacle into legitimacy by toppling a former heavyweight king. Training camps painted two very different pictures. Joshua returned to the fundamentals: razor-sharp jabs, thundering uppercuts, and heavy sparring with elite heavyweights. His goal: to re-establish himself as a dominant force in the sport. Jake, on the other hand, doubled down on conditioning, sparring bigger opponents than ever before, while sharpening his signature weapon: the overhand right, the same punch that flatlined Woodley and floored Silva. But let's be real. Joshua is a natural 240-pound heavyweight with Olympic pedigree. Jake Paul walks around at 185 to 190 pounds and usually fights at cruiserweight. The size, strength, and power difference would be enormous. Joshua has already faced and beaten top 10 heavyweights. For Jake, this would be like climbing Everest without oxygen. By a thunderous uppercut that sent shockwaves through the arena. Jake staggered but refused to go down, his toughness on full display. The crowd erupted, half in awe of Joshua's power, half in admiration of Jake's refusal to quit. Still, the gap in class was undeniable. Joshua's combinations came faster, sharper, and heavier. His experience at the elite level showed with every exchange. Paul, courageous as ever, kept firing back, but his punches lacked the sting to trouble a natural heavyweight of Joshua's caliber. By round 9, fatigue had set in. Joshua pressed forward behind a piston-like jab, pinning Paul against the ropes. A crushing left hook followed by a straight right hand finally dropped Jake to the canvas. He rose bravely, but his legs betrayed him. Moments later, Joshua unleashed a flurry that forced the referee to step in and wave it off. The fight was over. Anthony Joshua stood victorious, proving once again why he belongs among boxing's elite. Jake Paul, blooded but unbowed, had earned something just as valuable: respect. He stepped into the lion's den, against a true heavyweight champion, and refused to fold. The crowd roared, the spectacle complete. Olympic gold had conquered YouTube gold, but Jake Paul walked out having pushed himself further than anyone believed possible. Joshua poured on punishing combinations, the difference in size, power, and experience becoming impossible to ignore. Still, Jake absorbed the punishment and kept swinging, proving his toughness on the biggest stage of his career. The later rounds were all Joshua. With cold, calculated aggression, he walked Jake down, controlling every exchange. Then came the 9th round, the moment that would seal the night. Joshua unleashed a brutal uppercut, a punch reminiscent of his legendary finish against Klitschko, and Jake Paul crashed to the canvas. The referee's count felt eternal, but Paul couldn't rise. Anthony Joshua was declared the winner by TKO. Victory restored Joshua's aura as a feared heavyweight and silenced the critics who doubted him. For Jake Paul, defeat didn't destroy him, it elevated his reputation. He had dared to step in with one of boxing's biggest names, endured thunderous punishment, and showed a heart few believed he had. This fight wasn't for belts, it was for pride, legacy, and the future of boxing's entertainment era. It proved that spectacle and skill can coexist. And for one unforgettable night, Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul gave fans a fight they'll never forget. What a collision! Every round brought intensity. Every punch carried history in the making. This battle will be talked about for years, but it's only the beginning. Bigger wars are on the horizon. So stay tuned, because the next showdown might just top this one.